And here comes Milo, big run out of 4. He's going to be there.
Tristan Martin's there, cannot count out the 37.
Oh!
Burned!
Cabot, where did he come from? Here comes Dweck.
A push for the 33.
It's a drag race.
The Magic Man wins it at Auto Club. Hello everybody and welcome to tonight's coverage of the VSPEED 150 from the Dover Motor Speedway, race number 9 of the 12 race regular season. And ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves a good one. I'm Alec Martinez, and alongside of me, my producer and co-commentator Logan Thurkeld. It's good to have you, Logan. I know Adam's not here, but Logan, it's good to have you by my side. And I think we got ourselves a very interesting race coming up, especially with no Adam Cabot.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Adam is very good at Dover. To see him not here is kind of a disappointment, but I'm sure a lot of these guys on track tonight will be very happy not to have him on the field. But we'll obviously crown a new winner here this week with Adam not being here.
Yes, we will, and his qualifying just begins to go out here, and well, it's about perfect here, and you can see that is Brody Hayes on the screen, and Brody Hayes has been one of the most consistent, best qualifiers of the year, and just like the guy he works for in the real NASCAR series, Nick Sanchez, very good at qualifying, and Brody Hayes could be somebody to start us off on the pole as he goes into turn 1, and this track, very much like a roller coaster setting, very high speeds, but as well as the track very, very sensitive to temperature, especially with the concrete surface. And the interesting thing tonight is when we see guys move around this racetrack, it seems like it could be possible as Brody comes across the line here, and we'll see what he puts up on the board here. That lap, top of the board, 22.996. His teammate Keith Mayato not too far off of him as well, but track temp, like you saw, 94 degrees, ambient temperature at 68, very, very cool. If the sun starts poking out, you can notice a little bit of fog as well, and right now the temperature doesn't seem like it's going to be rising, but later in this race, in about an hour from now, it seems like fog will be a factor in this race. Could make it very interesting when it comes to seeing wrecks. If there's spins to smoke, that might play a factor. There will be fog later in this race, and it might very well cool this track down, and I think we might see a very big track change as Brody Hayes still on the point. If you want to pull up the ticker here, and we'll see the time at the moment, but it looks like so far just Travato up into 3rd here on his lap, and there's Joshua Banks coming to finish his, puts him in 6th, about a 10th off of the pole right now. And then Wesley Dunphy 16th right now. And still more cars coming across. I think a big one, Bailey Turner, just going to roll off in 7th here. I'm curious to see if we got anybody else out on the racetrack. Dennis Steele making a lap. Chris Samard out on the racetrack as well. So she just took it off. Still waiting to go out. Cody Atkins practicing pit entry here. Max Cost on the racetrack here into turn number 3 in that Hooters number 63 car. So getting his qualifying lap in. This will be his first lap, seeing where he clocks in. Comes off the corner. First lap seems to be the fastest. Cost goes 17th fastest with the 23.359. Still another chance to get redemption here off of turn 2. Uphill down the backstretch on a 12-degree banking down the backstretch past the casino. In under the Ally Bridge into 3. Gets it a little bit of a wide exit. Tries to dime in the corner, get a run off. So he just overshot it there. Going to have to make it up on the exit. And Cost goes up to 13th with that lap. Improves by about a 10th and a half, and that's a 23.225. And well, qualifying is wrapping up. We'll take a look. I don't know if you have the points here for the BTDY Racing Series. And Adam Cabot, not one of those guys that looks like will be in contention for the championship, but will be somebody that you will have to look at when it comes to the regular or the non-chase guys going at it. But Jeff Wright is your points leader, 272 points. Bailey Turner 10 points or 11 points behind him with 263. Then Hayes, Travado, Hatchell, Ronas, Banks. Oh, I don't know if you have the points. If not,
yeah, I hate to break you up there, but I believe you got the last week's points.
Is that last week's points?
Yes, sir. So this week we have Bailey Turner sitting in first with 325, but tied with AJ Travado also at 325. Brody Hayes in third. Seth Hatchell in fourth. Jeff Wright in fifth. Angelo Hronis in sixth. Marcus Emerson in seventh. Joshua Banks eighth. Noah Mikulski in ninth. And Dallas Sullivan in 10th.
And then Nicholas Starling in 11th, Cody Atkins 12th, Keith Mayato 13th. And that right there, looking at that points gap, Cody Atkins, Nicholas Starling probably not feeling too comfortable because Keith Mayato and Chris Smart, two guys that are very capable of pointing themselves in. And what do you got, about almost a 16 point gap there, or 17, point gap there to Keith Mayato, Cody Atkins. That is going to be very interesting to watch in the closing weeks. And Keith Mayato going to roll off second here tonight. Cody Atkins, I don't believe, put a time in. Looks like he'll be rolling off 21st. So that is going to be something that to look into, especially in these final closing races tonight. Not as big of a field as we've seen in BTDY, probably about 10 cars short than what we had last week in Atlanta. So it's going to be interesting to see less points to gain. But Keith Mayato needs to put together some good weeks. And we're going to a track next week, especially where I think you got to consider him for a win. We go out to the road course at Road America next week. But first off, congratulations to Brody Hayes on another pole this season. We'll get that starting grid going for you right now, as Hayes is going to roll off on row number 1 with a 22.996. Keith Mayato only 2 1,000ths of a second off him. That's if you want to put that into any measure of time, that would be the time of Sam Mayer and Ryan Sieg's finish at Texas in the Xfinity Series. That close for pole margins. Mayato second. Row number 2 has AJ Travado, the Italian stallion, in third. Seth Hatchell, somebody to look forward to and seeing, who is the defending winner of this race, rolling off in fourth. Row number 3 has Jeff Wright and Joshua Banks, 5th and 6th. Bailey Turner and Dennis Faircloth, great qualifying effort there in row number 4 for 7th and 8th. Row number 5 has Angelo Ronas and Justin Carey. Going to round out the top 10.
And starting out here in 11th, Dallas Sullivan next to Alan Dice in the 5 car. Behind them, Max Cost in the 63 next to Caleb Weekly. Noah Mikulski in the 03 and Nick Starling 15th and 16th. A little bit of an issue here with my grid. It was just a second to catch up here, but
you're all good. 17th, 18th is Dennis Steele, Wesley Dunphy. 19th, 20th is going to be Timmy Emanuele and Chris Samard. Cody Atkins and Nathaniel Ostrowski going to be rolling off 21st and 22nd. Michael Newman and Robert Gilmore 23rd and 24th, and that will be the rounding out of the field here tonight. Well, Logan, I tell you what, we got ourselves an interesting race here. Who are you looking at here to win this race?
Talking to Seth Hatchell before the race, he's feeling pretty confident, and I know he can drive pretty good here at Dover. So I would be pretty well in contention with Seth being up there at the top 3 sometime for most of this race.
You know, I tell you what, I know Seth really likes the track, and I think you got to look at him for the favorite. And I know A lot of drivers are pointing Seth as the favorite, and I personally would have picked him, but since you got him, I'll pivot off of him. And honestly, the VSPEED car is going to be tough to beat, but I think you look at a Jeff Wright, who's been so good this year. I can't help but say Jeff Wright is somebody you don't want to look past her. And rolling off fifth here, it'll be very, very interesting to see. And remember, this pit road, one of the hardest pit roads to get on, from going 150, 170 on the racetrack to slowing it down to 35 miles an hour. So this will be a very hard pit road to get on here tonight. And with the higher speeds, with the lower track temp, I think that's going to be something that plays a factor in this race. And get one more look at our track temp here. And I believe it's not too hot outside and not too hot on the racetrack, but these cars might be able to heat this track up just a little bit to play a role here. And right now the track temp has cooled down 2 degrees from practice at 92. So that will be very interesting. The wind is blowing, could affect these cars once they get side by side. And remember, later into this race, we are closing up to what could be fog in the Dover, Delaware area on the virtual game. So it'll be very interesting to see how much will the track change. But it's VSPEED lockout in the front row with Brody Hayes in the 37 and Keith Mayato up on the outside in the 36. The 2 pairs of Chevrolet Camaros to lead us off 150 miles and 150 laps of racing. Going to be brought to you by live here on VSPEED. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up. 150 laps, 150 miles around the Dover Motor Speedway, a roller coaster of a track at the concrete mile. Green flag is out, and we are underway in the VSPEED 150.
Absolutely, and hopefully everybody watching can bear with me. I'm trying to get my overlays back up here on the screen. Having a little bit of an issue with that right now for some reason. It should be coming back up any second.
We're all good as Brody Hayes leads the field into turn 1. Stravato going to get underneath Keith Mayato here for second. Mayato trapped on the outside. Here comes Jeff Wright. Bobbles just a little bit as they complete lap 1. It's Brody Hayes. Stravato up 1 position and Wright up 2, although still battling side by side with Keith Mayato in the 36, who's pinning the 48 down. Bailey Turner also trying to find a way around them. And how about this? AJ Stravato looking for the lead on Hayes. Won't be able to get into 3. Hayes holds on to it, and then it's Stravato right now going to get clear of the 36. The battle is for 4th between Bailey Turner and Keith Mayato. Seth Hatchell waiting in the wings at 6th.
I know AJ Stravato was upset after that 3rd place finish last week, so you know he's going to be charging as hard as he can.
Jeff Wright to the bottom, going to take him 3 wide into turn number 3. 2 teammates in a VSPEED car to the outside. Wright charging down to the inside of the 33. Will have to come out of the gas underneath of him. Stravato slips up on the exit. Hayes loses another spot. Now Turner going to take him 3 wide into turn number 1. Stravato way up the racetrack. Wright clears both of them off of 2. And now it's a battle for second between the teammates of Turner and Stravato as Stravato taps the outside wall.
And you got Seth Hatchell back there in 4th place, just waiting for his moment to see if he can make a shot up there to 1st place.
And what a move from both Bailey Turner and Jeff Wright. Volt aggressive, but able to get spots. Hatchell now falling underneath behind Bailey Turner and underneath the 33 of Stravato. Brody Hayes has lost 6 spots in a matter of a lap and a half as Hayes falls back to the 6th position. He lost 5 and has fallen back to 6th. In the wings of Joshua Banks and Keith Mayato. Hatchell up to 4th, battling middle of the pack between Nicholas Starling, Noah Mahalski, and the 5 of Alan Dice. That is for the 12th position as Starling battling teammate Dice behind Max Cost in the 63 as they'll single file out. And down the backstretch they go. And look at this pack of cars, the 1st all the way through 8th, only separated by a second. And it makes you wonder, is the tires, are guys trying to save tires? Here comes Turner to the inside of Jeff Wright for the lead. Wright powers back around the 24. And Logan, I'm seeing everybody on the bottom. You think this is going to be for saving tires, or are we just trying to get in line as this track is cooling down?
You know, it's hard to say, so early in the race. It could just be that they're jockeying for position right now, but, this track is notorious for having multiple different lines through the entire race, and 150 laps, it's going to be a long one.
It will be, and will we see tires rubber, or will we see cars be able to rubber up the outside lanes? Again, cooler track temp will kind of prohibit that from happening too much. But as cars battle side by side, you begin to kind of heat up that middle lane, heat up that outside lane. But right now, it doesn't seem to be like there is an outside lane. As battle for 14th, on the racetrack. Caleb Weekly, Alan Dice. Weekly gets by Dice, and look at this battle between Hayes and Ronas. Hayes moves up back inside the top 5. Angelo Ronas falls back in 6. Joshua Banks quietly working himself to 7th, and you see everybody kind of riding around in line here. Really no movement here as Banks, though. We know he's aggressive. We know he's willing to make moves, and there's a move right there underneath Angelo Ronas here for the 6th position in 35. Going to get by that 45th anniversary Mako Tools Toyota Supra, and Banks moves up to 6th. Ronas back down to 7th in that Ford Mustang. Behind them, you got Dennis Faircott trying to rubber up that outside lane, battling Nick Starling, who slides up the racetrack, and the 80 almost catches the wall. Here comes Koss to avoid, and then the 03 of Mahalski closing up as well, trying to go up through the middle. 63 slides up a little bit. 80 using the outside lane, and look at the run he gets. Can he get back under Starling? And he does. Big move there for the 80 of Dennis Fairclough, but now Starling going to be the outside, be able to pin the 80's exit here, although it slides up off the corner, and looks like the 80 going to pull up to the left rear, try to side draft down the straightaway and into turn number 1. Still side by side, 2 rows side by side now, because here comes the 63 of Koss, going to lose a position to his teammate Mahalski, the other teammate of the Neon Auto Sports, in right behind them, that bright green GoDaddy car. That is Caleb Weekly, and now the field rounds out back single file, and the top 13 separated only by two seconds. And tell you what, Logan, this field very, very close together. Do you expect separation here as this race goes on?
You know, by the looks of it right now, I'm going to have to say no. These guys are running so close and so consistent already. You know, of course, tires are going to be a huge factor in that statement, but you know, they're all going to fall off about the same time. So I don't see any separation happening anytime soon.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. It depends who's going to be able to keep their tires under them and go at a pace that saves them from really, really wearing. We know these tires, Dover, one of those tracks where tires are usually blowing out at the end of a run. How long that run's going to be, who knows? But I do know that this track tends to cheese grade the tires, and sometimes you won't be surprised if we see guys lose tires later in this race. How far you go is the question. With only 80% fuel, I want to say the most max you can probably push it is about 70 laps, but are you willing to push it that hard? I think you're going to have this race split into thirds as battle inside the top 5. Seth Hatchell to the outside of AJ Travados, who we're looking at Caleb Weekly and Max Koss battling and going at it, but Hatchell starting to work himself up here into the top 3 if he can pin the 33 down, but doesn't want to get stuck up there, because right now we're starting to see not a lot of guys able to really hold it. And now look at this, goes up even higher where there's less rubber, trying to build a little bit more of a run, cut that exit down and get a run, and Travado has no justice. Brody Hayes catches the wall off of turn number 4, and here comes Joshua Banks to the inside of the 37.
You know, back to Seth Hatchell, he was kind of a big help for me whenever it came to racing at Dover, and if there's one thing I know he can do, it's run that high line. So he's feeling pretty comfortable up there, it looks like.
And last year in this race, in different cars, everybody was kind of glued to the bottom. This race, noticing you kind of move around when you need to, but maybe that even plays more to Seth Hatchell's wheelhouse when it comes to searching for lanes, searching for grip. Always good to have in the back pocket as a driver to find ways around people, battle down the back. Just tell you what, these guys really going at it. Nick Starling, Max Koss, Justin Carey, Chris Samard, all in there. This battle from about 12th all the way back to 17th. And Starling and Koss have been just throwing haymakers at each other. Here comes Koss back down, crossing over Starling here. And this, again, is for the 12th position on the racetrack. Koss gets by Starling. Now Chris Samard going to poke him behind the battle. Justin Carey, Cody Atkins, and Alan Dice also battling here. Behind them, Atkins, who had a great run in Atlanta, 6th place finish in a Michael Waltrip throwback. His best run of the season, and right now having to carve his way up through the field here just a little bit as Dice slides up the racetrack a little bit. And look at this big moment out of Starling down the front stretch. Carey and Samar trying to get by. Samar gets by. Carey going to try to clear here off of turn number 2, and does. And now the three teammates all together, because here comes Dice and Atkins in the 55, and Starling looks like falling off a cliff here. Only 20 laps into this run. In a run, you might have to go 50 or 60 laps in.
Yeah, if they keep racing like this, there's going to be a lot of green flag laps, so you really have to watch your tires so you can keep pace with these guys. Otherwise, it'll cost you.
He will, and Starling going to lose 5 spots in a matter of 3 laps, and might lose a 6th spot to the 28 Dennis Steele in that white and teal roof color there in that Hooters car, old Chase Elliott scheme. On the 28 car, and he's also putting together a good run. Oh, Starling catches the wall again, and a big hit, and oh, there's contact with the 28 of Steele. Newman has to avoid, goes way out of the racing groove, and now still battling for second is this 18 car, really struggling with grip. And now the 28 going to get by. Here comes the 12 to the outside, and the 18 really starting to struggle. Then up there, disc golf, Bobby Labonte throwback, and he'll lose another spot to the 12 of Michael Newman, and Newman gets by on the outside, and Starling falls back to the 20th position and really starting to fall off. And Max Cost up ahead, battling with Caleb Weekly and Chris Samard, who's gained a couple positions up to 12th, and now teammate Caleb Weekly and now Justin Carey in the 21 also closing up on the battle, and they've kind of separated themselves, 12th all the way back to about 17th on the racetrack here. And right now everybody up in the top 5, single file, really no movement. This is where the battles are on the racetrack, and even though they're mid-pack, it's still very entertaining, as there goes Carey to the bottom of Weekly behind them, and that battle is for 14th on the racetrack. And Alan Dice wants to join the fight as well with Cody Atkins. And I'll tell you what, that 21 car sliding up a little bit. The 7 also starting to fall off on pace as he almost catches the wall. Atkins goes by, and now Alan Dice trying to go to the inside of Weekly, and Weekly going to fall back here if he loses this spot to 17th, and he does.
And a little bit further back, Nick Starling lost a spot to the 41, Nathaniel Ostrowski.
Yeah, the 18 is really struggling on pace. That last lap, a 25.58, where the leader a 24.56, so about a second off of the leader's paces. How about this? Brody Hayes trying to find a way around AJ Stravato. And Joshua Banks behind them, closing up just a little bit. And these guys really haven't moved around much. We've seen Hatchell try to find ways around Turner, or found a way around Stravato, how to use that outside lane, but now kind of seeing, oh, Hayes catches the wall there on the exit. Notice turn 4 seems to be a trouble spot. You're seeing guys catch the wall just a little bit and kind of push up, especially being behind somebody so close. As we all know, the dirty air effects tends to really throw these cars out of whack, and right now I'm noticing it right now as here comes the 4, Robert Gilmore into pit road, but 37 struggling on exit here.
Yeah, it looks like he's making it up down the long straights, though, or not really a long straight, but the longer straights, and kind of catching back up there just enough to keep his name in the hat.
Yeah, and Wright has only pulled about a second over Turner. Now the question is Turner saving the tires, or is he just falling off? And these guys haven't really found a way around him. I think right now, looking at the lap times, Turner there 0.2 of a second slower than Wright, and behind them, Hayes looks to be probably the best car of these 4 or these 5 here, but kind of trapped in behind Stravato there in 5th, and hasn't really been able to do anything yet. You know, on board with Brody Hayes. You can see him trying to get that left front tail or headlight out of the dirty air, gets a little more rotation in the nose, and gets some clean air to it. And right now it's just biding his time. There's still a long way to go, but I tell you what, this race already almost a third of the way done. 20 laps from a third of the way done. This race flying by very quick.
It absolutely is, and that's one of the great things about BTDY here is they always put on pretty good clean races. Can't complain with that whatsoever.
That's for sure. Look at Banks now going to the inside of Hayes. Had a look for a second, didn't decide to back out of him because here comes the 36 of Keith Maiato, and Banks holds on to 5th. But I think right now Turner's pace is starting to fall off a little bit. I don't know if he's still saving. Only Bailey Turner knows if he's saving or not. But Jeff Wright has pulled about a 1.5 second lead over everybody, and I think Seth Hatch is starting to realize he doesn't want that 48 to get too far ahead of him, and he doesn't want to lose a spot to the 33 of Stravato, because here he comes to the inside. And I don't know if you're noticing, Logan, this track is starting to get a little more foggy. We talked about it at the top of the hour with the way the races started, that the fog was going to be rolling in, and we are closing in here to light fog here pretty soon.
That just gives it one more reason to have that nickname of the Monster Mile, Alec.
Yes, sir, it is. As this monster is hungry for some race cars. As this one right here battled. I'll tell you what, AJ Stravato is hungry for a position, and he just might be able to feast on Seth Hatchell here off of turn number 2 and down the backstretch into turn 3. Stravato on the inside of Seth Hatchell on the outside of the 8 and the 24 seems to be holding these cars up just a little bit. Does that outside lane kill the tires of the 8? As it gets tight there on the exit. Stravato will be able to clear, and here comes Hatchell's teammate Hayes to the inside, although Stravato shallow entry won't be able to do anything that will allow Turner to have some breathing room as there's contact behind between the 37 and 35. Hayes and Banks make contact. Mayato closing into the fight, as well as Angelo Ronis, and now you got 2 rows of side-by-side racing here at Dover, and there goes Stravato by the 8 here off of 4. Now there's contact between the 37 and the 35. Mayato brushes the wall on the exit. Ronis closes up, and is this fog starting to cool this track down? The track temp has in fact went down, or actually went up with these cars running, has went up to about 3 degrees since the start of the race. So this track ever so slightly just getting more and more track evolution, more rubber on the racetrack, and more heat in the track, as well as Hayes loses a spot to Banks, and Hayes trying not to lose another one to Mayato, but just might. And I think he will, and now Hayes going to get back in line.
You know, not a bad play by Hayes there to just let Mayato get by without any issues. You know, again, so early in this race, not even a third of the way into it. No reason to throw an unnecessary caution.
Yes, there is no reason, but he has fallen back to 8th. The pole sitter struggling with pace here, and I'll tell you what, shout out to the white car behind Hayes, Dallas Sullivan running in 9th. Right there, turned the 2nd best lap time on the racetrack. The 46 has some pace. Having one of his best runs of the season so far at the Monster Mile, and Dallas Sullivan really turning up the jets here as Nick Starling has brought it to pit lane. So interesting to see what happens here and how much does that force guys to want to bring it in. And unfortunately, Wesley Dunphy has, I believe, pulled it off or he's still on the racetrack with 14 laps down, as Robert Gilmore still in pit road. Service to his car has fallen 11 laps down. But how about this battle for the 10th position? Chris Simard and Noah Mahalski, and Simard with some pretty good pace, about 0.2 of a second a lap faster than Mahalski that last time. Justin Carey behind him just got by Dennis Faircloth for 13th, so 21 and 77 showing some good pace here as Simard to the inside of Noah Mahalski here, and Mahalski not going to be willing to give that up, and Simard fighting for points here, and he's going to get that spot crack into the top 10.
Just a little bit of a slide job there from the 77, but made sure he was clear and got that position gained. Good for him.
Yeah, and how about Jeff Wright? Just moving right now in that clean air. Now a 3-second lead over Bailey Turner and AJ Stravato, and right now Turner still in 2nd. Has he pushed his tires yet, or has he does he keep saving? Because still a long way to go in this race, and tires going to mean a whole lot in this race. As Michael Newman, I believe, lost the spot to Nathan Ostrowski, and Timmy Emanuele is starting to show a little bit of speed, and Ostrowski gets by Dennis Steele, and looks like he's going to lose another spot to Timmy Emanuele. But right now, this battle here inside the top 15, Justin Carey going to get by Noah Mahalski for 11th, although a slider almost gets himself up into the wall. And Carey moves up into 11th. Mahalski back down to 12th. Dennis Faircloth and Cody Atkins 13th, 14th closing in. They've kind of gotten a big gap away from Alan Dyson, about 8/10.
Alan's kind of back here running his own race right now, but soon enough, we'll have some green flag pit stops, and we'll see how everybody handles that. Like you mentioned earlier, very difficult to slow these cars down all the way to that 35-mile-an-hour pit speed.
Yes, sir. One of the toughest pit roads to get on. I'll tell you right now, Jeff Wright is in another zip code, 3.5 seconds ahead of Bailey Turner. And right now, just everybody kind of stuck in line. And I wonder if it's because of the cool track tip. You're not able to really move around a lot. And right here, speaking of moving around, Rona's trying to get a little bit of a gap to Brody Hayes, who's got a little more speed, battling here for what is the 7th position on the racetrack. And Hayes has started on the pole, led the first 2 laps, then lost track position, and just hasn't seemed to get it back here. And Dallas Sullivan behind him. You know, if Hayes gets stuck, Dallas could maybe utilize that outside lane and get by. And I noticed Dallas is running about the highest of anybody in the top 10. Kind of enters in bottom, lets the car drift up to the middle, and here goes to the first seam, lets it drift up a little bit. But right here is the big key. Can you cut it down, get that left side closer to that apron, and get a run off? And right now, just can't seem to do it. And really, there's just kind of stagnant here in the top 9, or I should say top 10, because there's just not enough movement here to find some time. And I think the bottom lane just tends to be the more dominant lane here.
Yeah, it really does seem to be that way. And of course, with this overcast, you know, getting out to some of those wider camera angles, you can really see how dense that fog is, and it's just helping.
That was a big moment there. You can see even inside the car on board with Dallas Sullivan and the Octane Ford Mustang, you can see there's a little bit of fog, even on the racetrack. I mean, if you had a lot of fog, and the smoke would be very, very tough to see, and it'd be hard to see in front of you. Obviously, fog not going to be a big deal to stop the race in any bit. It's not too heavy, and the fog's going to clear eventually. But, oh, Hayes catches the wall there on the exit. But, yeah, this track is, you can see him on the outside. You can see it's hard to see from an outside camera view. The fog, and I don't know if you have the blimp or a blimp or chopper cam, but the fog from a blimp is, I mean, look at that. You can barely see the cars. So there is a lot to get through, and we'll get it back to a trackside shot. But yeah, the fog is getting a little bit thicker. We can see from a blimp standpoint, it's hard to see the race cars from very high. So tell you what, though, up in the top 5, Banks starting to move around a little bit, try to find some grip around Hatchell, or find some space around Hatchell. I'll tell you what, Bailey Turner has taken about a half a second out of Jeff Wright's lead already. Could Jeff have pushed his tires too hard? And look at that, Banks by Hatchell. He clips the wall there on the exit, and Hatchell almost gets into him. Big moment there now. Banks utilizing the outside lane, and Jeff Wright sounds like he is going to bring it down pit lane here. The leader coming in. Crucial pit stop.
That strategy you were talking about, splitting it up into thirds.
Yeah, I think that could be the strategy. Or do you want to two-stop this? And let's see with Jeff Wright. Can he make a solid stop? Dallas Sullivan going to follow on his strategy. Sullivan in from 11. Banks pushing the issue a little bit more. Got by Hatchell, and now looking to get by Stravato. But Jeff Wright, who was the leader, has handed it over to Bailey Turner. And now it's going to be interesting to see. And look at how slow he's going compared to the cars around him. And Banks has moved himself up into second on the racetrack, getting by AJ Stravato. But now Stravato crosses over to the inside of the 35. One of those guys is not willing to relinquish the spot. Hatchell, knowing that maybe it's go time here in this run, because when will these guys be willing to bring it in? There's almost contact between Stravato and Banks. Banks gets second, and utilizing that middle to outside lane, starting to find some pace. But the one thing Jeff Wright can't have is a caution as he exits pit road. Still green, and be curious to see the lap times that he's able to turn once he starts getting some pace going here. As Mahalski also down pit road. Here comes Hatchell to the inside of Stravato for third. Banks holding on to second as Turner starting to drive away slowly, but Banks had a good set of corners, and maybe might be able to chip a 10th out of that lead.
Just might. I mean, that is a pretty big gap there, but we've seen
trouble. Dallas Sullivan is around on the front stretch, and the one thing Jeff Wright could not afford is a caution, and there it is. And one of the cars that just brought it down pit lane and who was having a solid run, and that is not what Jeff Wright wanted to have happen. As that happened, Seth Hatchell and Angelo Aronis were coming down pit lane. And yeah, it looks like he lost it right in front of the leader, Bailey Turner.
Take this back just a little bit further, see if we can see exactly what happened.
And Hatchell and Aronis are going to lose out because they are going to have to come back in and pit because they weren't able to get service to their cars. And that, unfortunately, for Dallas Sullivan, is going to trap him a lap down, and now he's got left side damage to the 46 car. And Jeff Wright, who we were talking about cannot afford a caution, well, he is now trapped one lap down. He will get the lucky dog, but now he's going to have to restart in 14th and at the tail of the end of the longest line. So he's really going to be in trouble here when it comes from a traffic standpoint. And right there, it looks like Dallas just lost it on cold tires, but pit stops happening in pit road here between Bailey Turner, Joshua Banks, and we'll see who gets the win off of pit road. Is a solid stop for the 24 crew, and looks like Turner going to win the race off of pit road with Banks, then Hayes, then Samard with a great sequence of stops. Samard out of pit road in 4th, then Kerry Wright, or Kel Wright just getting his lap out, and then Weekly, Cost, Newman, Stravato, a terrible pit stop, 27 seconds in pit road, has fallen back to 13th. And looking here, Nathan Ostrowski, I believe, got a lap led, but Hatchell and Ronis are going to have to bring it in. But Stravato, 27-second pit stop, cannot have that happen.
Absolutely not. That's it's a little bit of back and forth there. Maybe a little bit too hot on the entry of the pit stall and had to bring it back, but who knows? Maybe a little bit of damage to fix, too.
Keith Mayato, who also brought it down pit lane, another big name, trapped a lap down. Timmy Emanuele was trapped a lap down, so those two are going to have to take the wave around here and ahead of the leader. But Noah Mahosky will be one of the cars trying to get his lap back, go one lap down. But that caution really, really messing up the pit cycle there for a lot of guys, trapping more than 5 cars a lap down. That's going to be big here for this race. Well, cautions come out, and will give us a little bit of time for a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back for the restart of the VSPEED 150 here from the Dover Motor Speedway.
Sailor Tarot Magic is the spot to get a reading from Sally, an intuitive healer and tarot reader. Known as the Nurturing Reader at New Jersey street fairs, you can also check out our YouTube channel for lunar and astro readings, as well as our Instagram for live weekly readings. Her rates are affordable, and you will leave with a newfound perspective. Sally is now offering an introductory class on tarot cards and intuition, and is available for parties. Call or text.
Welcome back to the VSPEED 150. Bailey Turner, the leader after the first caution of the day from a spin from Dallas Sullivan. And trapped, who was 3 seconds out ahead, Jeff Wright, who is now in 14th position on 6-lap old tires. And half of these guys from 17th on back, all 1 lap down, as the pace truck will make it left down the banking and into pit road. And Bailey Turner and Joshua Banks, too, that have had history together and have gotten to run into each other quite a few times this season. Lead them to green as we're back underway. Banks spins the tires. Hayes on the bottom, restarting third, going to be side by side with the 35, and they're fanning out behind 4 wide because here comes AJ Stravato almost getting to the back of Dennis Steele on the restart, and a lot of traffic heavy behind, double wide, 3 wide down the backstretch. Guys trying to find a way around each other as the top 5 go single file, but the battle between the 2 Hooters cars, you got Cost, and it looks like Steele gonna barely make it. 1 car almost up into the wall. I believe that was Noah Mahalski, and Brody Hayes just able to get by Joshua Banks there. And I believe AJ Stravato has damage. He has hit the wall. Stravato, heavy damage, and he is coming down into pit road and might have an issue with the 33 car. Big damage on the 33 as he's bringing it to pit road. Heavy damage to the rear end, it seems. And another big name, the Italian Stallion, already trouble. We talked about that 27-second pit stop. Put him in the back in traffic there on the restart, and right there shows why got himself into trouble, and he is into pit lane with damages Banks all the way back around Brody Hayes for second. And how about Chris Samard and Justin Carey, 4th and 5th, were running 10th and 11th before that caution, now find themselves in the top 5.
Just a lucky break for them on that, and
we got trouble down the front stretch. Oh, it's a big wreck down the front stretch. Wesley Dunphy comes in and hammers the 5. Dallas Sullivan was in it, and there's more cars spinning. I believe the 36 of Keith Biotto was in it, and big damage to the 36, who was brought into pit lane, and a big hit for points in a race where he needed them.
See if we can get this back here, take a quick look, see what happened.
Oh, no.
Take it a little bit further back and see where this all starts.
Wow. And it looks like battling there, that was for what was the 13th position. Dice hits the wall, and Keith Biotto gets into him, spinning off the corner. Nick Starling came in sliding, slammed the 5, and the 5 took multiple hits in that Cadillac car. And if you look at what happened to Dice, look at this. Turn, takes a massive shot to the inside wall. Starling, his teammate, is spinning, hits him hard in the driver's door. Emanuele just misses, gets a little bit of damage, and then the 56 slides into the wreck and hits the 5 even harder, and the 5 with a ton of damage. The 18 out of the race, the 46 involved once again. And look at Emanuele, he bounced off of both of them. I'm not sure how much damage he has, but what a hit for Alan Dyson. I think night over for Keith Biotto. Dallas Sullivan, I think, still going to keep it in. And Alan Dice for sure going to be end of the night. So, wow, big development. Jeff Wright, I believe, brought it down pit lane. I'm not sure. Looks like he just took gas only. So, it'll be interesting to see what his strategy is going to be. And look at this fog over the racetrack. And I wonder if we talk about the fog, if the guys that were sliding into the wreck, could they see the smoke happening down the front stretch?
You know, it's getting so thick out there at this point. I don't think that they could. That was
pretty thick.
That came up pretty quick on those guys. Not have the perfect visibility that you need on such a short course. It's nearly impossible. You come out of turn 4 and you can't see into turn 1 very well.
It is. Well, how about we ask our leader how he's dealing with the fog, Bailey Turner, see if we can dial him up here on the radio. Bailey Turner, Alec Martinez, and Logan Throkeld in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, buddy, we're just talking about that wreck. A big wreck, maybe bigger than it was because of the fog. How much is the fog affecting these cars, and is it affecting the track in any way?
Yeah, it really wasn't that bad at the beginning of the race, and it seems like it's progressively gotten a bit worse. About midway through that run, I even mic'd up to our guys and was like, does Dover have lights? Like, we might need them at some point here. The fog seems to be rolling in, and yeah, it just makes it a little bit harder to kind of, hit your marks and try to be consistent each lap just because you can't see more than, 100 feet in front of you. So, yeah, makes it real interesting for sure.
It is, and unfortunately, from what I'm seeing, the fog is going to get a little bit thicker as the day is going to go on. So, be interesting to see. Well, Bailey, I got to ask you, is the tires saving you through the wind or out the window here because the way the race is shaping out with the cautions? Obviously, Jeff, who pulled away quite a bit, got trapped in that last caution, lap down, had to get the wave around. Do you think now you have the car to beat, or you think the guys behind you are going to have something for you?
I think it's really just the the battle of clean air. You saw there that Jeff had the clean air at the beginning of the run, and nothing I could really do to set him up without killing my stuff. So I sat there and rode and kind of paid the price. And surprisingly, we started to track him down there at the tail end of the run. But obviously at that point you gave up way too much time. But like I said, battle of clean air. So it's really just trying to stay in front of these guys. I know he got some hard chargers right here behind me with the banks. Hopefully I don't get turned this week. And yeah, so it'll be fun.
For sure. Well, we appreciate your time, Bailey, and we'll be talking to you at the end of this thing.
Thanks.
And that's Bailey Turner, the leader right now here in the 24 car. And like he said, him and Banks, and I'm sure you've seen Logan throughout the season, they've had their share of run-ins this year, and they've had their share of run-ins all time since they've been racing each other. But right here, this could get very interesting very quick. And we know with the fog, if we have a wreck up front, it's going to be very hard to maybe survive the wreck because of the smoke being not going to be as visible because the fog's blending in right with it.
As bad as it is to say, Alec, if we have a wreck up front, that is very likely the end of this race. I don't think any cars are going to be able to make it out of that in one piece.
Yeah, it might be a 15-car wreck, and we know Dover is capable of self-cleansing itself as he's collected a few cars. Miles the Monster has, and it's been very interesting as the restart is back, and we're back underway here from Dover, Turner, and Banks, the front row, as they enter the corner almost side by side. Behind them, they fan out. Now the top three get single file. It's Banks, Turner, Hayes, then Carey gets by Samard for fourth, but they battle for fifth with Samard and Hatchell, who's worked himself up and back inside the top five, but Banks trying to charge hard and get by the 24.
Got a lot of movement off of that restart there, and luckily everybody keeps it clean for now. See how this continues on.
Sir, was some battling. Jeff Wright, who's back up to ninth, battling here for eighth on Max Koss, gets by off of turn 2, and almost getting up to the wall was Caleb Weekly in the 7, now battling side by side ahead of Wright. That is for the 6th position on the racetrack. Samard fighting hard as Seth Hatchell able to get by Justin Carey, and looks like Koss just caught the wall there off of 4, but everybody keeps it going straight. But now Samard still trying to fight off the 7 of Weekly. Jeff Wright in the wings if these two get together and hold each other up, and Jeff Wright working himself back up into the mix here, but still all around single file now throughout the top 10.
They single filed really quickly, and Bailey Turner out to about a quarter second of a lead on Joshua Banks here, so there's that.
Third. Sorry to cut you off there. Seth Hatchell up into third. Gets by Brody Hayes. Hatchell right now, he is on a mission.
Absolutely. It's crunch time now. Once you get those couple of cautions in, you never know how the rest of the race is going to go. So you want to be up at the front to avoid everything if possible.
Yes, sir, and there is a long way to go still in this race. Almost halfway through the VSPEED 150 is Wright trying to find a way back around Chris Samard. Angelo Ronas back up to 9th after losing a couple spots there from the pit cycle. Weekly tucks back in line in front of Samard, but Samard fights back to the outside, gets checked up between the 21. There's contact with the 77, and looks like Weekly just kind of throws the 77 wide, and Samard going to lose 2 spots, and Jeff Wright trying to get the 2-for-1 special in a lap, and Wright going to work himself up to 6th if he can get by the 7, which he does, and the 7 tight off the corner, and here comes Ronas trying to get the 2-for-1 special as well and follow the 48 by.
That was a good move by Ronas to follow Jeff Wright there on that line. That was well played.
Oh man, almost contact with the wall and the 63. Weekly now going to lose a third spot, might lose a 4th one to the 41 of Ostrowski, who's having himself a heck of a night, but battling with the teammates. It's the 63 of Cost and the 7 of Weekly, and man, these guys going at it.
And neither one of them wanting to let up at all right now.
And Wright really starting to show some paces. Oh, the 41 and the 7 catch the wall, and the 7 little scrape now on the side as well as the 41. But look at this in the top 3. Banks and Hatchell side by side for 2nd. And Hayes waiting in the wings if these two get together. Now Hatchell gets by Banks. Turner goes to cover, forces the 8 up wide. Can't the 8 cross him over off of 4? And now we got a battle between the top 3 for the lead, all under a blanket. Hayes a little bit behind in 4th, but Hatchell almost gets to the back bumper of the 24 and gets into him.
Just about, but not quite there. He set himself up perfectly for a move.
Keep Turner guessing. And you can see Turner trying to take that air away, give him dirty air in the corner. And right there, you see Hatchell has to get out of the gas. And now Bailey Turner, one of the hardest guys to pass, and now one of probably the best at aero blocking and giving dirty air to the guy behind. And right now, you can see him trying to cut off the exit, try to cut off the entry of the corner. And Hatchell has to be creative, try to keep Turner guessing where he's going to go. But Turner doing a masterful job of keeping the dirty air right on the nose of the 8.
Wanted to take this view here to just see how he's staying right in front of the 8 car to make sure he's.
Hatchell got clean air, but Turner going to take it away here on the exit. And you hear Hatchell have to kind of get out of the gas. He's not in the right aero position to get the power down. And right here, Turner slips up, allows Hatchell. If Hatchell can get to that left rear, he can loosen up the 24 just a little bit. But right now, he's just kind of stuck in that bubble of air, about a half a car length back. He's got to make the 24 get into a mistake here. And Banks right behind them. If the 8 makes a mistake, the 35 is going to be right there. And I think Hayes is kind of managing his stuff. But can't forget about Jeff Wright, who has now worked himself into the top 5. He's closing up about a second and a half back, and he's starting to eat into that lead as well. And he's actually a second back now.
And Jeff Wright, second place finish last week, so you
look
know.
At this. Hatchell got to the outside. Can't he cross Turner over? And sorry to cut you off there. What were you saying about Jeff?
I was just saying, after that second place finish last week, you know he's hungry to get back up here to first after leading all those laps to start this race.
Yes, you know he is, and yes, Jeff Wright dominated this early portion of the race and got a little, fell into a little trouble there, got caught a lap down, got the free pass because of the caution, but had restarted 14th, has worked himself into the top 5 as Brody Hayes gets by Joshua Banks here with 70 laps to go in this race as Hatchell continuing to try to find a way around Turner, who has the clean air, keeps doing a great job blocking him. Now, my question is, are these guys pushing it too hard, trying to get that clear? Will that hurt them at the end of this run?
It very well could. I mean, every little bit of unsettled suspension is just extra wear and tear on those tires, and that's going to be ever so important in the last 30 laps of this race.
It is. There's still probably going to be one more pit stop to go in this race because I don't think you're going to be able to go 100 laps on fuel at least, but still going to have one more pit stop. And when is that pit stop going to happen? Is it going to happen in 20 laps? Is this why we're seeing these guys push so hard? Because they know they can cut it just a little bit more as Turner continues to block the 8 car. Now the 37 is in this fight as well, as Banks has kind of fallen off a little bit, and he's fallen to the clutches of Wright as Hatchell keeps making the 24 have to guess where he's going. He's under him this time.
He finally got down to that back bumper.
Took the apron and the dirty air. Now the 37 with the run into turn 3, but not going to be enough to get by. Now Hayes going to go to the outside of the 8. Can he get by his teammate and now try to pressure Bailey Turner? But it's like Hatchell holds on to the spot. And these two cannot afford to start racing each other and let the 24 get away, as there will be lap traffic in just a little bit as the 39 car, the last car on the lead lap, they are closing up on him.
You see him entering there into turn 3 just ahead of these guys, and it's really going to put a wrench in things here. But like you said, the VSPEED teammates here, Seth Hatchell, Brody Hayes, they really need to try to work together to really keep Bailey Turner on his toes and never know which one's coming from what direction. And hopefully get around him.
They both look just a little bit faster than the 24. Is the 24 saving tires? I think at this rate, it's hard to believe he is because of how hard he's having to push to fend off the 8 car and the 37. And these three, I mean, they are under a blanket. And if one of them gets into each other here, I think they're all going to get into it.
Just a little bit further back, Jeff Wright has now caught up to Joshua Banks, looking to get a pass on him, put himself up into 4th place. And then looking shortly after that to join that battle up there for first, second, and third.
He very well could be in that battle, but I think it's going to be hard to get by Banks. I don't know if Banks is just going to let him go here, and Wright's going to probably have to work for this position. Is up front. Turner now a car length gap over the 8 of Hatchell, who doesn't really have any of a gap because the 37 is breathing down his neck on that back bumper. And right there, Hatchell just hurts himself on exit when the 24 crosses in front of him, gets in the wake. The 8 car just kind of pushes up the racetrack, has to get out of the gas. And right there, he's running a little bit too shallow, I think, for my liking. If you're right in the dirty air, you can see him slip up on the exit, and that allows Hayes to get a run, but can Hayes get around him?
It's a pretty interesting line there for Bailey Turner, but it's working out so well for him to keep the 8 car right behind him.
Yes, it is, and he's taking the air away, but here, this time, it looks like Turner going to have to keep the 8 gonna have to keep Turner guessing here. This time he utilizes that outside lane. Didn't get much of a run as he catches the wall on the exit. And a decent shot to the 8, but shouldn't affect the composite bodies on these Xfinity cars. Able to take a lick and keep on ticking. And that time gained a lot through 1 and 2 here. Can he find a way around Turner? Keep the 24 guessing, although the 24 continues to take the air away from the 8.
And this might almost be a perfect time to let your teammate Brody Hayes get around you and see if he can really put some pressure on the 24, as he's not been wearing out his tires nearly as much as the 8 car.
it is a possibility, but I hate to tell you, brother, this ain't F1. These guys are going to fight for every inch they got, and they're going to try to find a way to get around. Even though they're teammates, they're still going to race each other hard. There's going to be some courtesy between the two. But we're
absolutely.
talking here for the race for the win, and I don't think you're going to see these guys give any inch to each other, and I don't think they're going to give much inches to Turner if they can get side by side with them. But right now, Turner's doing just a masterful job of keeping the 8 behind him and just keep giving him dirty air. Although right there, he slips up the apron. And now Hatchell to the bottom. Here he comes to the inside of Bailey Turner. Turner going to pinch him low. If he makes a mistake, the 8 is there, although the 8 slips up behind. And now here comes a run for the 37. This will be a great shot here on board with Brody Hayes. Going to utilize that middle lane. Hatchell on that bottom, keeping the right sides below the seam. And Hayes right in he has a little bit of a gap to Turner, but also utilizing the seam. And Banks and Wright have closed into this battle. And the top 5 might be all on top of each other as Hayes right behind the 8 here. Going to have to get out of the gas. Gets in the wake. He catches the wall.
It's like Joshua Banks is also starting to catch back up to these top 3. Pulling along Jeff Wright, too.
He has, and these 5 are kind of pulling away from Angelo Ronis in 6th, Samard 7th, Carey 8th, Mahalski 9th, and Weekly, who's battling with Atkins and Newman for 10th on the racetrack. And I'll tell you what, the battle for 10th is quite intense here but I'll tell you what, there's Cody Atkins getting underneath. Caleb Weekly is battle for the lead still going on. I think Hatchell has a chance here. He got to the outside. Can he cross him over down into 3? Here he comes. Hatchell, the closest he's been to the door of Turner. Will he throw a slider? Turner going to pinch him on the exit. Hatchell going to get tight underneath him. Might get loose. They both slide up the track. Still almost making contact. Turner on the outside has to give room to the 8. The 8 is there. They're still side by side. But now Hatchell going to get loose. They're going to make contact. Turner into the side of Hatchell, and Hatchell seams it, but a big slide. And here comes Hayes closing up. Hayes gonna have to deal with Banks because the 35 to the outside of the 37. 37 just clears, but the 35 has speed. And there goes Banks to the outside, and it seems as more fog has fallen upon the racetrack. The 35 continues to get stronger and stronger as this race goes on. Banks now trying to work around Hayes. Hayes giving him the air. Banks gonna have to go a little bit higher. Can't he get to the right rear of the 37 because the 48 and 29 are closing in. Banks, big run, shoots to the inside of Hayes. And Hayes might not have an answer for him because Joshua Banks has turned on the jets. But here comes Hayes with a crossover. Has to get out of the gas, and Banks holds on to 3rd. As a big moment behind them, Justin Carey and Chris Samard battling for 7th. Here comes Wright to the inside. And Wright has gotten to the inside of Hayes. Hayes might not want to give this one up because he knows Jeff Wright has speed as Banks utilizing that outside lane way up the racetrack. But now multiple lanes starting to come in as, Hayes pitches the 48 off the corner and they make a little bit of contact. Wright has to tuck back in line. Hayes goes to chase and give dirty air to the 48. And you can see there, Wright had to get out of the gas underneath the 37. A big run for the 29. Tell you what, Logan, business is picking up.
Yeah, this is getting intense here, and we're just now coming up to 2/3 of the way through this race, so I'm really excited to see how the last of this is going to go.
Joshua Banks seems to have a lot of speed here. That time, a 10th faster than the leader, and it looked like a couple 10ths faster than Seth Hatchell and Brody Hayes. And Wright starting to struggle there that last lap. This time, Banks a little bit off here, and now the 37 starting to reel him back in. Does Banks try to get back to the bottom, or he looks like he's just trying to find grip on that outside lane? And right now, if Turner and Hatchell get to battle again, Banks might have something to, he might be able to have something. Just great racing all around, I must say, is Cody Atkins, I believe. Oh, sorry, he had fallen back. He's lost the lap, but first car lap down is AJ Stravato. If a caution comes out, and look at this. Hayes has reeled the 35 back in. The top 2 starting to scoot away here from the rest of the field. But now Hayes almost gets there to the 35, but the 35 cuts the nose off, and he can't get back into the gas. And these leaders have pulled about 4 or 5 cars, or 4 tenths, 5 tenths, almost a half a second on the from third on back to fifth, because now they're starting to battle.
Yeah, and you saw Joshua Banks there do the same exact thing that the 24 Bailey Turner was doing to the 8 car, where he just kind of slid up to that middle lane, came back down, put the dirty air on the nose of 37 Brody Hayes, and just ruined that run that he had on him.
Yes, he did. And who's willing to bring it down pit road first? Who's going to be willing to blink? Michael Newman has brought it to pit lane in 13th. He has brought it in. First car to pit on the lead lap. Is anybody inside this top 5 or 10 willing to bring it into pit lane? And if they do, I've got to think they're going to force the hands of everybody to pit.
Just about. I mean, these guys are already on roughly a 50-lap stint on these tires, so it'll be time any lap now where you start seeing these guys come in.
Yes, sir. And who will be the first to blink inside this top 5? They might be able to cycle out to the lead here. If they get out in time, have a good pit stop, have a good pit road entry. Is it going to be Hayes? Will it be Wright? Will it be somebody outside the top 5? Will it be Angelo Ronas, Justin Carey, maybe Chris Samard, Noah Mahalski, who is currently the fastest car on the racetrack that last lap? And I'll tell you what, though, these top 3 the top 2 have separated themselves now by about 0.6 of a second, and it seems like Banks might have used up all that tire he had when utilizing that outside lane. Oh, there's a bumper to the back of the 24 there in the middle of the corner. It looks like Hatch is starting to get a little bit fed up.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, you got to draw the line. If he's not going to move, you might just have to move him yourself.
The classical NASCAR style bump and run. Can Hatchell do it? Can he find a way around Turner? Does he want a short pit? Try the undercut, or is the overcut going to be the way to go? And it seems like Dover tends to be the overcut strategy. Is it going to be enough to win this race, or is the undercut going to be good enough to win this race because of the way the track is, because it's cooler? We're talking about the track temp was at 95 at its peak. It has went down to 89 degrees. It has cooled off now another 6 degrees. So this track is getting cooler, which means it's getting faster. Is the tire wear going up is the question.
I would have to say probably not, but you know, it's hard to say. These guys are running so hard right now because of that cooler temperature. They can find that grip a little bit easier, so might be a hand-in-hand effect.
It could be, and Noah Mahalski has gotten by Chris Samard and Michael Newman on fresher tires. There was a 1.5 seconds faster than leader Bailey Turner. The question is, and we'll see him utilize these tires. Look at how quick he is around the corners. Blows by him. Chris Samard, first one into pit road. Inside the top 10. 77 pits. Where will he cycle out? Now look at Newman, just blows by the lead lap race cars, and maybe these guys looking at the fresh tires thinking, well, maybe it's time I do bring it in.
You know, whenever you've got somebody that's a couple laps down, just passing you like you're standing still, you don't want him to gain too much ground before you pull in. So I'm with you on that. They got to start thinking about it a little bit harder now.
We'll see how much are they willing to put on their tires here, and how far are they willing to push it, because the run that they're going to have next is going to be a lot shorter than this run, probably by about 10 laps. So as these guys continue to go on, maybe the undercut strategy might work. As looks like Ostrowski has brought it into pit lane. Caleb Weekly into pit lane. These guys noticing starting to pit here as Chris Samard.
Jeff Wright also bringing it down pit road.
And here comes Bailey Turner. Sounds like he's pitting. Wright, like you said, brought it into pit lane. Going to force the hands of everybody in the top 5. Here comes Turner, the leader, into pit lane. Hatchell going to try the overcut. Stays out. Turner, big send into pit road. Almost spins on the exit. Hayes in. And how about Justin Carey gaining a lot of time? Jeff Wright, service to his Chevrolet Camaro. Here comes Chris Samard around the outside of Hatchell. Hatchell, I got to think, is going to have to bring it in this time, if not the next time. Banks still on the racetrack with him as well, and so is Ronas. And here comes Hatchell into pit lane. Jeff Wright, a 14.2 second pit stop, a 46.4 second pit stop in total. And it looks like Mahalski and Banks stays out. Hatchell in. Turner is into his box. What is he able to get out of pit road? Turner with a 14.5 second pit stop. Out of pit road he goes. He is going to turn a 46.8 out of pit road. And this will be tight. Where does Jeff Wright cycle? Can he get ahead of the 37? He does. It's going to be close between Turner and Wright. Wright off of 2. Turner throws the block, but Wright gets by 03 with 1 lap pressure, older tires. Turner now going to try to find a way around. Dunphy spins into pit lane, and here comes Hatchell out of pit lane. He's going to cycle around these top 2. And there goes Wright and Turner by. Can he get ahead of his teammate Hayes? With 2 lap pressure tires than Wright and a lap pressure tire than Bailey Turner, but it looks like Hatchell going to cycle out to 3rd in front of Hayes. Going to be 35 laps to go on these tires. I got to think now, Logan, you're pushing to the end.
Yeah, at this point, you have to. Oh, what are we at? About 35 laps left. There's no reason to even consider coming back into pit road.
And how about the strategy move from Jeff Wright? To get himself from 5th to 1st. Going to be a good chance here for Wright. He's going to have to fight off a lot of cars, but he might be able to. There's going to be a lot of traffic, too, that might play a factor in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. We still have 3 cars on the racetrack that have not pit yet that are ahead of him at the moment. But as soon as they pull in, Jeff Wright takes over first place, barring that Bailey Turner doesn't get a good run on him.
Yes, sir, but Turner's going to have to work those tires, and when do those tires get at a point where they equal out? And if a caution comes out, look at all these guys that are a lap down. Wright is a lap down. Turner a lap down. Hatchell a lap down. If a caution comes out, Noah Mahalski and Dennis Steele are going to absolutely score. But they need that caution to come out very soon because right now they're losing a ton of time. Oh, Wright got the wall there on the exit. Allows Turner with the run. Turner to the outside. Is it going to be enough to get a run here on Wright? And again, 1 lap pressure tires. Is it going to be the difference? We know Jeff Wright. The points is the top 2 in points. 1-2 in this race. Turner going to try to find any way around him, get clean under the nose, and try to mount a charge here at Wright. Look at that, sliding off the corners of 24. Dunphy exiting pit road. Hatchell is 2 seconds back from the top 2. If these guys are pushing their tires too hard, is there a chance that Hatchell can run them down?
Absolutely there is. And once these guys get side by side and really start battling for that position, it's just going to slow them down, allowing Hatchell to sneak right up in there and see what he can do.
Yes, it's going to be interesting to see if these two really start wearing their tires out too much. But Turner just has yet to find a way around Jeff Wright, who short pitted everybody by just 1 lap. And right now it's looking like it might be the difference here if he can hold on to the illustrious clean air, in which Bailey Turner said in the middle of the race when we interviewed him was the way to go. He had clean air at the beginning, led a ton of laps, had a 3-second lead, and this time only a couple car lengths separate him and Turner once the pit cycle ends, which will be for the lead and the race win. With what will be 30 laps to go once Noah Mahalski comes across the start-finish line. Ronis and Banks battling, those two pitted 1 lap difference. Banks with a fresher tire, or the fresh tires on the 35. Then Angelo Ronis as for what will be the race lead. Turner and Wright still battling, and it sounds like Noah Mahalski is going to bring it down pit lane here. And the 03 into pit lane, slipping, sliding into pit road, gets it in. Don't know if he sped or not, but now Dennis Steele also in pit lane, which will eventually this lap hand the lead over to Jeff Wright and Bailey Turner. Now I got to ask you here, do you think Turner has something for him?
He's run a great race all night, so you definitely can't count him out, but I'm still holding out hope for that 8 car like I called earlier.
Yeah, and I think it's possible that the 8 car has a chance, but he's still now 2.5 seconds behind the top 2. Hayes 5 seconds behind the top 2. So it's going to be very close to see if they can run out, if they can cycle out the right time, as Noah Mahalski unfortunately speeding on pit road, which will cost him a chance at a good finish. Dennis Steele just exiting pit lane, going to fall almost a lap. I think he does fall a lap down. So yes, he will, maybe 2, as these top 2 still battling each other for the win and what will be, or the lead and what will be the win, with almost 25 laps to go, 27 to go this time by, coming to 27 to go this time by. We starting 26 to go. And I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, this race is going to be absolutely insane for the lead by the top 2 in the points, and 2 of the best this season.
Absolutely, and just keep an eye on that 3rd place. Hatchell He is
Chipped in a
closing
little
that
bit.
gap.
He's cut it down to 2 seconds from 2.4 seconds, 2 laps to go. Is he saving tires? Is he waiting to push it in the final 15 here to get himself a shot? He's cut it under 2 seconds now. Is there enough time for Hatchell to run these top 2 down? And these top 2, there are 3 lap cars ahead of him that will play a factor. And if Hatchell can get by them quicker than these 2 who are battling for the lead, could have opened the door for the 8 car to run them down. But you got to remember, he's got to pass 2 cars, not 1.
Absolutely, and we'll take a look a little bit further back. Ronas and Banks still battling it out for 6th place. Sorry.
And how about Chris Samard, who short-pitted everybody in the top 5, going to maybe be a net gain here. He's turning some pretty good laps. That time by, he was about as fast as the leader, if not faster. So Chris Samard doing a heck of a job on these older tires, keeping good pace in the 77. And then Banks, who's still got fresher tires than Ronas, but he's sitting 6.5 seconds back from the lead, and he's got 4 laps fresher tires than Jeff Wright at the moment. So can he be a factor in this race as it progresses here with now 23 laps to go? And look at all that traffic ahead of Jeff Wright and Bailey Turner, and Seth Hatchell has cut it down to 1.5 seconds. That time by 0.2 faster than the leader. The 8 car is starting to turn on the jets. He's coming. And the lap cars ahead are battling for position. That is for 11th and 10th and 11th on the racetrack. So that is a battle for position. And if they're racing, they're battling for the lucky dog.
And you know they're not going to let these guys go by easily. So it's going to be hard for Jeff Wright and Bailey Turner, or even Seth Hatchell, to get around those lap cars. But
yes, it is. And Hatchell, who was sitting a couple seconds back, had clean air to cool his tires off and preserve them. Turner, who's been right on the back of the 48, was in dirty air the entire time. He's starting to lose time to him, and I think these tires are starting to even out between the 24 and the 48. And there's the lap cars. Nathan Ostrowski ahead of Jeff Wright. How can Wright work himself away? As there goes the 41 into the wall. Where does he run him down? I think he'll be able to get by Ostrowski, no problem here, although the 41 not willing to let him go, but the 48 gets by, and the 24 has fallen about 0.5 seconds back, because here comes the 8 car now, who's chipped to 1 second now, gained 1.3 seconds in the last 4 laps. Can Hatchell utilize the 41 of Ostrowski as a pick to get by Bailey Turner, who has fallen 0.7 of a second behind? This is going to hurt the exit of the 24 here with the 41 here on the exit. Turner going to get held up now. Looks like Hatchell going to have a little bit of a run. Can he find a way by? Ostrowski into the wall. Hatchell to the outside. Turner going to try to play good teammate here and block the 8 here from the 48. 1 lap the difference on tires. Here comes Hatchell to the bottom of Turner for second. Can he get by? Turner lets him go. Now the 8 separated by 1 car to the 48 with 1 second to run him down with 18 laps to go.
Jeff Wright still with more lap traffic to come up against, so this could be looking really good for that 8 car right now.
It can, and Jeff Wright and Max Koss both pitted on the same lap. Will the difference in fall-off be the same as the 63 and the 48? But the 8 car charging 0.2 of a second faster that time by. Both of our picks, Logan, might I point out, running top 2 here, and now they're going to be duking it out for the win.
Hey, absolutely. You know, it's that intuition as a broadcaster. You just kind of got a feeling every once in a while.
Yes, you do. And now with 2 lap fresher tires, Hatchell has cut it to 0.5 second. Wright is not going to be willing to give it up. As you're on board with the lap car, what will be the lap car of Koss, who sees the 2 leaders coming up behind him. The top 3 only separated by 1 second, but Turner seems to have burned his tires off. Can Jeff Wright hold off a hard-charging Seth Hatchell for the win? Hatchell, might I remind everybody, won this race a year ago and now has a chance to repeat and go back-to-back. And Hatchell beat the Dover King himself, the Magic Man himself, Adam Cabot last year, fought him off the last 30 laps, held on to the win. This time, he's on the opposite end of that. He is charging for the win, but Jeff Wright is going to be no slouch to get by. He's cut it under now to 0.3 of a second. 2 car lengths separating the top 2 for the win here at Dover.
The speed difference through the corners is kind of concerning for Jeff Wright, but it might just be him saving these tires for the last 10 laps or so.
It could be. Is he going to have an answer for Hatchell? Hatchell goes high. Jeff Wright goes to take the air away. Hatchell has to get out of the gas. The lap car of Max Cost might be the decider. Hatchell and Wright tap the wall. Wright gets it a little bit harder. Hatchell now goes to the outside, trying to cross him over on the exit. Wright goes to defend, get dirty into the 8. Oh, the 8 car sliding, the 48 car sliding. Here they go. Hatchell with the run into 3. On board with the 8. Underneath the 48. They almost make contact. Wright pitching the 8 to the bottom. Hatchell slides up. He gets into the 48 on the exit. Wright holds on to the lead. And now the lap car, Max Cost, has got to find a way to maybe get by or let these two go. They're still battling. Wright has to get out of the gas. Here comes Hatcher to the bottom once more. Into turn number 3 under the Ally Bridge. They make contact. Seth Hatchell by the 48 has to get out of the gas. Here comes Wright back to the outside. Wright gets into the wall. Hatchell shuts the door, and he takes the lead with 11 laps to go.
Fantastic move by the 8 car right there. And you can't complain. It immediately puts almost a half-second difference between him and second place. You know he's got to be happy with that, and getting around Max Cost here just to put a little bit more of a difficult excursion on Jeff Wright to catch back up.
And he is starting to check out and get away here. Hatchell has pulled now a half a second and a lap car in between he and the 48. Cost in a lap car running in 10th. Shows the pace of this race to only 9 cars on the lead lap, and maybe will soon to be only 8 cars who are only separated by the top 6. And a shout out to Justin Carey in the 21 car, having a solid run, running in 8th. Might have a chance here at 7th on Chris Samard, who's got a couple lap older tires than the 21 car. So very good battling throughout the field. And I'll tell you what, Seth Hatchell is hoping for no caution. I don't know if we're going to get one as this field continues to get more and more spread out. And Hatchell over a half a second gap as Wright clears Cost here the lap car, and now no cars in between, but the 8 car on another level. 9 laps to go from Dover. And look at the heavy fog that is set over the Dover Motor Speedway. Any caution? I don't know if you're going to be able to see where the crash is happening. Is Cost doing a good job getting out of the way for the leaders in the top 3? No cars separating, no lap car separating anybody between the top 3. But Hatchell almost 2 seconds ahead of 3rd place Bailey Turner, and 0.8 of a second over Jeff Wright, who tried everything. Even though he short pitted, what a great strategy for Wright to bounce him up at least a couple positions into a podium spot.
It's a fantastic race all night by Jeff Wright, leading multiple laps. I think he ended up getting over 60 laps led. And then the unfortunate circumstance with that first caution where he just pit, came back out, caution on the field. It really threw a wrench in it for him, but he made his way all the way back up to first. No problems with it. Great race by him.
Yes, sir. The valuable track position that was lost in that first caution. Could that have been the difference maker for Jeff Wright here to maybe jump Seth Hatchell, who now has over a second lead for what will be, I believe, his first win of the season? And it's hard to think Seth Hatchell winless this year. And his second one. He did win Pocono. I forgot about that because I was racing. But yes, this will be his second win of the season. I'll tell you what, you give the 2-time champion any sort of momentum, and he's going to capitalize on it. He's going to jump up in the points here. He's going to give himself a really, really good shot. Maybe at this regular season championship, and got to remember the drop week also counted, and I believe with the drop week, he's not too far behind in points, and or there's 2 drop weeks. He's actually in tied for 4th with AJ Stravato this time. He's going to gain a lot of spots here. Good work from the 8 team, and 5 laps to go, coming to 4 laps to go for the 8 car, and he's not going to lead the most laps, but he might be able to lead the most important one, and that's going to be the last one. Is Michael Newman, the 9th place car, falls a lap down, and he's looking for a top 10 run. So a shout out to Michael Newman, who has put together a pretty solid race in the 12th. That Mobile 1 throwback to Ryan Newman in 2003. Good looking scheme. And man, just can't give enough of a shout out to Seth Hatchell. And really this top 5 has been kind of stagnant battle, which will be Justin Carey and Chris Samard here. Maybe these final 3 laps here could be the battle for 7th, but the top 9 top 8, excuse me, all in the lead lap. Only 8 seconds between the top 8. But man, these guys all kind of searching around for grip as this run continues to go on. It's got some guys running high, some guys running low, searching all over this Dover Motor Speedway in what has provided one heck of a race. And man, oh man, what a race we have been treated to. What a strategy from Seth Hatchell and Jeff Wright. We're talking about the overcut and the undercut. Wright did the undercut, Turner right in the middle, and Hatchell with the overcut, and the overcut seeming to prevail once again here at Dover. And for a second straight year in a row, Seth Hatchell will come off of turn 4, and we'll see the white flag in the lead. 1 lap to go, 1 mile to go for the 2-time champion, Seth Hatchell. And like we said, he wanted on pit road, had to drive his tail end off to get it under green flag racing. But man, he did it. Under the final time, under the Allied Bridge into turn 3, the 2-time champion is going to be back in victory lane. And for the second year in a row, Seth Hatchell will win at the Dover Motor Speedway. Hatchell, second win of the season at the Monster Mile.
Fantastic race for that 8 car. Couldn't be more proud. VSPEED taking home a win today in the VSPEED 150.
Sir, the VSPEED car winning the VSPEED 150. And Seth Hatchell, second win of the season, won a Pocono earlier this year, and he tames the monster once again as he gets some congratulatory bumps from Jeff Wright and Bailey Turner. And he'll burn it down on the front stretch as it goes Hatchell, Wright, Turner, Hayes, Banks, Ronis, Samard, Carey, Newman, and Koss, the top 10. And Seth Hatchell going to burn it down in front of the Dover fans. And what a win for Seth Hatchell. I mean, 2 in a row. Adam Cabot might have some company for the Dover King, it seems.
It might seem that way. You know, it would have been really interesting if we had Adam on the field today to see how him and Seth would have battled Jeff Wright, Bailey Turner, all of these guys up here in the top 10. You know, it wasn't really that crazy of a difference. You know, the top 8 there, I think you said, was separated by about 9 seconds. So yeah. To throw Adam Cabot in the mix would have been an incredible mix-up.
Your boy's just showing off. Your boy's just showing off. I had to come in here and say it. He's just showing off because you're doing production tonight, Logan, and he was like, well, I got to win this thing.
He sure is. Bradley, good to have you, man. I appreciate you showing up here. Well, we appreciate everybody watching. We'll be right back for a quick commercial break, and we'll be talking to your winners, Seth Hatchell, and the top 3 with Jeff Wright and Bailey Turner. Stick around for post-race interviews. We'll be right back.
Sailor Tarot Magic is the spot to get a reading from Sally, an intuitive healer and tarot reader, known as the nurturing reader at New Jersey street fairs. You can also check out our YouTube channel for lunar and astro readings, as well as our Instagram for live weekly readings. Her rates are affordable, and you will leave with a newfound perspective. Sally is now offering an introductory class on tarot cards and intuition, and is available for parties. Call or text 732-314-0777 to schedule your reading today.
and welcome back to the VSPEED 150. At the conclusion, take you to post-race interviews in just a second. Let's get a look at our finishing order here tonight after the 150 miles of racing. 2 cautions for 10 lead changes. Seth Hatchell, the winner here after starting 4th, only led 13 laps, but what a win for him, his 2nd win of the season. Jeff Wright comes home 2nd. Bailey Turner in 3rd. Pole sitter Brody Hayes in 4th. Joshua Banks 5th, Angelo Ronas in 6th, Chris Samard 7th, Justin Carey in 8th, Michael Newman in 9th, and Max Cost rounds out the top 10.
Coming in the 11th position, Nathaniel Ostrowski, followed behind in 12th by Cody Atkins, Dennis Steele in 13th, Noah Michalski, in 14th, Dennis Faircloth in 15th, AJ Stravato unable to finish up where he wanted to tonight, coming in 16th, followed by Caleb Weekly in 17th, Timmy Emanuele in 18th, Wesley Dunphy 19th, and Dallas Sullivan in the 20th position.
21st with Keith Maotto after a disappointing night and going to need some points in these final few weeks. Look forward to him racing at Road America next week. Then Alan Dice 22nd, Nick Starling 23rd, and Robert Gilmore comes home in 24th. And how about we go down to pit road where we'll get 3rd place finisher Bailey Turner here and see if we got him here. Bailey Turner, Alf Martinez, Logan Thurkeld in the booth. Brother, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, man, it looked like you had a good strategy going. We're leading before the pit cycle. Kind of fell back there, got stuck behind Jeff Wright, and then Seth Hatchell came on fresh tires. What more maybe did you need to get the win?
I didn't need to get jumped on pit road. I mean, that was the nail in my coffin. Jeff's always really good with the strategies usually, and I knew out of anybody that was in that top 5, he was going to be the one to kind of open up that pit cycle. So as soon as I heard him pit, next lap I came down and, that a little bit of an undercut, got me by about a 10th or 2 and drove the tires off trying to really pressure him. And I think, we kind of screwed each other over there. Kind of gave Seth the win. But, obviously Seth, you guys saw the whole middle run of that race, had a ton of pace and I had my hands full, just really not trying to. I ended up killing my right front, just trying to manage him, and then it just kind of bunched us all up there, and unfortunately, never really could get in a rhythm. But we'll take a P3 and solid points day. Really unfortunate that those drop weeks kicked in this week. I had the idea in my head that I was the points leader still, and then look ahead and a familiar face, Jeff Wright at the top. So definitely gonna have my hands full for the next. However many races before the chase.
Yeah, I got you. I think looking at the schedule here, and you got next week at Road America, New Hampshire, and Charlotte. But let's go to next week. Road course had a decent finish at Sonoma. Obviously, Jeff Wright is his wheelhouse. Next week, Road America, a little bit different. Maybe not somebody that's really, really dominant, but a lot of good road races. How do you feel about going out there next week?
Yeah, I'll be curious to see who has pace next week. That is probably my favorite road course that we get to run. So I kind of petitioned for that one before the season, hopefully hoping it would get on there, and luckily it did. It's just so many good braking zones in that track, and really tire management and all that stuff really comes into play. Kind of like a Sonoma. But I just feel like the track has a little more flow than, say, a Sonoma, with some really fast, high-speed sections and some slow sections and a lot of opportunities for passing, unlike a track like Sonoma. So really looking forward to that. Hopefully, obviously somebody like AJ Stravato is the road king, and he's done some miracles at Road America. So I definitely have our hands full, but really, really looking forward to next week.
Yes, sir. Well, it should be fun. Well, we appreciate your time, man. Anybody you want to give a shout out to here for the 3rd place finish?
Yes, sir. Teammates, Jeff Wright with that arrow blocking. He taught me a lot there. Obviously you guys in the broadcast, I'm sure I'll have fun going back and watching this later tonight. And obviously admins, all the partners that come along with BTDY. Appreciate everybody's support. And hopefully we put on a halfway decent show for a track that Arrow is so king. So thanks guys, and congrats again to Seth Hatchell.
For sure, you guys never disappointed, always put on a show. We appreciate your time, Bailey. We'll look forward to seeing you next week out at Road America. Have a good one.
Appreciate it.
That's Bailey Turner, the 3rd place finisher here tonight. Let's move down just a little bit to the second place finisher, Jeff Wright. Jeff Wright, Alec Martinez, Logan Thorokeld in the booth. You got a copy, buddy?
I got a copy.
Well, man, you do the undercut strategy there. You look like you had maybe the best car here tonight when it was out in clean air, but got put back with that caution. Did a short pit there, running in fifth on the second run. Battled Seth Hatchell and Bailey Turner all you could. What more did you need to maybe get that win tonight?
Yeah, I just I needed to be able to, kind of save a little bit that last run, but I was fortunate enough to be able to jump Bailey. We had to get out in front to have a chance tonight. I think the best car was whoever had the clean air tonight. So, tried to go ahead and get that after, going a lap down, do that, caution kind of falling at a bad time for us. But Bailey and I were just pushing it way too hard. I think whoever was going to get that lead was going to have a really good chance to win the race. But I think we pushed it really hard for 25 laps, and that allowed Seth in third there kind of to sit back, take care of his stuff, and, mind his own time. And I knew that was going to be a problem, but at the same time, I knew I had to try to hold Bailey off to have any sort of chance at it. So big congrats to Seth, though. He drove a great race, really good on the long run. But yeah, it was really tough to pass tonight. Couldn't hardly see out there either. Boy, it was really dark, really foggy too. So it was interesting.
Yes, sir. Well, next week we hope to have you seen a little bit more on the road course at Road America. You obviously big road guy. You're good at. We know you're maybe the Sonoma king, but next week not Sonoma, Road America. How do you feel about going out there and maybe getting that third win of the season?
Yeah, definitely not a Road America king by any means. I don't have a ton of laps at that track. It's not one of my favorite road courses to go to. So the only time I ever race there is during league races. So I don't race there official or for fun. So probably gonna need to get a little bit of practice to be competitive there. But we got a lot of really good road course guys in this league. AJ, Bailey, they come to mind when we think of road courses. I'm sure Brody's gonna be fast as well. Seth. So yeah, I'm hoping for a top 5. That's the goal. I don't think we're going to be the fastest guy on speed there, but we're going to give it all we can, and who knows how these things might turn out. Maybe possibly if everything goes to plan, maybe we could get a win, but I'm not banking on it.
Yes, sir. Well, you never know, brother. Well, we appreciate your time, Jeff. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, big thanks to you guys up in the booth, VSPEED, for the broadcast and also sponsoring tonight's event. Teammates in the channel, always fun to talk with them, and yeah, looking forward to next week.
Yes, sir. Well, we appreciate your time, Jeff. Look forward to hopefully again talking to you next week. And again, congratulations on second. And we'll talk to you next week at Road America, brother. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Thanks, Alec.
Yes, sir. And thank you, Jeff Wright. And well, what a good run for him. But we move on to the race winner tonight, where Logan is with Seth Hatchell.
Yeah, Seth Hatchell down here in winner's circle tonight. Seth Hatchell, you got a copy, buddy?
Yes, sir.
Man, all I want to say to start out, Alec asked me at the beginning of this who I had. I chose you, and you proved me right. So thank you for that. But let's talk about the race.
Prove you right there.
Saw you kind of battling with Bailey Turner there for a little while. He's really throwing some aero blocks on you and did a great job keeping you behind. What was your strategy to get around him? Were you just waiting on that right moment, or how'd you go about that?
To start there, yeah, I was definitely trying to wait on the right moment. I felt like he's in front of me like pretty much the whole race there. Behind him there for the first run, and then sort of fell back behind AJ there before pit stops, and then I sort of lucked out. I was on pit road when that caution came out, and was able to just roll through and stay on the lead lap, and that stayed my race pretty much. And then, yeah, that next run was behind Bailey. And to start out, I was trying to, catch him off guard, try to jump to the outside of him. But he's a pretty smart guy. He's pretty good at this stuff. And he was ready for it. So tried that a couple times. And then there towards the end of the run, it was really just trying to get next to him any way I could. I think I bumped him a couple times, just trying to move him out of the way. He pitted before me there, one lap before me, that last pit stop. And I knew I had really good speed, especially through 1 and 2. And so I was sort of hoping with him being right in front of me when he was pitting in, I could maybe force him into a mistake, and then I just pit the next lap after with a big gap behind me so I could take it nice and easy. And then that last run, just hitting my marks, trying to run them both down. Bailey was really nice to me there, let me go. So I own 1 for that. And then just racing hard with Jeff there at the end. I don't think I got into him. I know it was close, but definitely racing hard. But pretty clean, and really happy to get the win here.
Absolutely can't be too upset with that. Know you took home the win here last year, so 2-time winner at Dover. Can't be upset with that at all. But you know, just a great race overall for you, and you three up there in the top 3 just put on a real good show tonight, and you know, just couldn't really put it into words if you asked me if I could describe this race. But you know, again, great job. And Seth, is there anybody you'd like to say thanks to before you depart with us?
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for doing a great job with the broadcast. Got to thank VSPEED for sponsoring tonight's race. Got to thank Nick, all the admins doing a great job running this league, all the gyros putting on a great race tonight, and my team VSPEED.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your time, Seth. And again, congratulations tonight. First place win heading into Road America next week. You got to be pretty pumped about that. So again, great race tonight.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time, Seth. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
And it's Seth Hatchell bringing it home in victory. And his second win of the season, Logan. Man, what a race we saw. Your pick got it. And, man, I can't wait to see these guys on a road course that is in Sonoma, because I think we're going to be in for a heck of a show. Any closing thoughts after tonight's race?
You know, like I just told Seth, it's really hard for me to put it into words. It was a fantastic race all throughout the board. 2 cautions. You can't really complain about it. It was just an amazing show all night. Monster Mile, it didn't claim the monster title tonight, in my opinion.
Yes, sir, it did. It was pretty wild. As Seth Hatchell did, in fact, tame that monster. And again, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you guys tuning in here tonight and watching here the BTDY Racing Series that always puts on a show. Look forward to the second road course race of the year next week at Road America, and hopefully you could join us next Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern for what will be the second to last race before the BTDY Chase for the Cup. Appreciate everybody tuning in here tonight. Again, I'm Alec Martinez, and joining me tonight was Logan Thurkeld. Appreciate everybody tuning in here tonight, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week and joining us at Road America. And until then, have a wonderful rest of your week and a safe night, and we'll see you next Tuesday for BTDY Racing at Road America. Have a good night, everybody.
Here comes Milo, big run out of 4. He's going to be there.
Tristan Martin's there. Cannot count out the 37.
Oh!
Cabot,
Where did he come from?
Here comes
Swag.
A push for the 33.
It's a drag race.
The